welcome back to CBS Soap Dish Recap, where we recap everything CBS soaps, both the Young and the Restless and the Bold and the Beautiful. And this is your Young and the Restless recap for August 18, 2022. Look like the cousins are getting into a huge heated debate. Then there's new bloody evidence in the Ashland Locke case, and Chelsea pushes the envelope in trying to bring Johnny and Connor together. So before we unpack all of this, take a second to make sure you're subscribed to this channel, and don't forget to like and share. So over at Newman, Victoria texts Chance in hopes of a meetup, but instead she gets a visit from Chelsea in her office. Now, Victoria eventually convinces Chelsea to cut to the chase because, she's busy right now. So Chelsea admits that this was all about getting Connor and Johnny together for a play date. Now, once Victoria suspects, there may be a little bit to this story than what you're leading on, Chelsea reveals that she now wants the boys to know that they're brothers and for Johnny to know that she is his bio mom. Now, Victoria reminds Chelsea of their initial agreement and points out that it was never her intention to hide the truth indefinitely. Now, with that said, Victoria won't think this is the right time since the kids are still dealing with Ashland Locke's death. Now, although Chelsea understands all of this, she still worries that, this could feel like some terrible secret the longer they wait to not tell the kids. Now, Victoria eventually acknowledges that even keeping secrets, even in kindness, can do damage. So she agreed to at least think about Chelsea's request. So now we're over at Society, and Abby is talking to Chance about the Ashland Locke case. Now, after Abby expresses concern for her sister Victoria and her father Victor, she confessed that she's also worried about Chance and the stress of this moral conflict. Now, Abby mentions Chance's duty to his family and will point out that he missed out on Dominic's saying bye-bye. Now, Chance argues that, DEVON spends a lot of time with Dom as well, so they can't all be expected to be there for every special moment. Now, as for this Ashland Locke case, Chance thinks that he'll be a hypocrite if he put family above the law. Now, although Chance feels like, he's being pulled in so many directions, especially by her family, Abby reiterates that his opinion is the only one that actually matters at this point. Now, speaking of Abby's family, moments later, we see Victoria show up to speak to Chance alone. Now, Abby seems a little bit on edge, but however, she does step away. And while this is all going on, which, obviously you can tell that Victoria had been manipulating Abby from the start, even as far back as when Abby visited her in her office. She does step away, and while they're talking, she does look back at the two of them. And this is where we hear Victoria basically letting Chance know that it wasn't her intention to pressure him through her recent discussion with Abby. That's exactly what she was doing, which is why Abby tried to do what she did with Chance today. Now, Victoria plays up how she admires Chance's sense of right and wrong, and she also insists that her family is safe now and would think Ashland's outcome was for the best. And at this point, looking at Chance's face, he knows that he is still being manipulated. So now we're over at Crimson Lights. Now, DEVON gets into this heated discussion and accuses Nate of thinking that, it'll be easier to get the green light on his ideas if he took them to Lily. Nate counters back that Lily asked for those ideas and actually listened to him. Now, after Nate calls DEVON out for being bullheaded and egotistical, I can see that. He also gripes about DEVON's need for total control. Now, DEVON argues that Nate, however, can't handle being inexperienced and is too sensitive when it comes to criticism. Once DEVON gets all worked up about Nate needing to follow his rules, Nate asks if DEVON is going to punch him again. Now, he did say, no, I'm not going to do that, but he did say that he clearly thinks this is more than about business and Chancellor Winters. So, he pushes Nate to figure himself out before they have another conversation again. And you know what? I think both of them have some issues. I think he don't want to listen, and DEVON is a little bullheaded and egotistical. But we'll see how this all pan out. Now we're over at Lily's office, and Billy misses an important video conference after losing track of time doing that podcast. Now that leads Lily getting into this whole scolding session with Billy, pointing out that it's not the first time you dropped the ball, Billy boy. Now, Lily thinks Billy has far more passion for his podcast and acts like he needs to just own it if he's bored by being the COO in the company. Now, Billy suggests that it almost sounds like Lily is asking him to quit. Now, Lily denies it, so Billy, will be sorry that the argument even escalated at this point. Now, after Lily agrees she don't want to fight, she opens up the little gift Billy left on her desk for her. Now, Lily is expecting jewelry, so she seemed a little disappointed when she found out it was new earbuds, even though he was being attentive because her old ones were broken. Though she tried to cover by calling them practical. Now, once Lily turns her attention back to Billy, she suggests that he needs to think about what he wants. So later we see Billy is having a drink over at the GCAC rooftop bar. Now Victoria appears and she calls Billy out for not giving her the heads up about Chelsea's wishes. Now Billy apologized and agreed that, with Victoria about the whole Johnny situation being a massive decision to make. Now Victoria will decide to let Billy bore her with podcast details, but they ultimately discuss how he's trying to figure out what he wants to be when he grows up. Now, once Victoria looks like she's thanking Billy for the chat and for his friendship, she takes off. And as she walks away, Chelsea, as we know, who was spying on Billy and Victoria and their bonding session, that leads Chelsea to coming on over, commenting to Billy on how nice it is to see that Billy and Victoria have been able to stay friends. Now, Billy admits that it wasn't always the case, but Chelsea suggests that she always thought Billy and Victoria brought out the best in each other. And I'm wondering, are they going to bring him and Victoria together or bring Chelsea and him together? We'll have to see. So now over at the coffee house, we have Abby and DEVON discussing how working with family can be complicated. Now, after DEVON vents about his Nate issues, Abby unloads about the whole Chance moral quandary with the family. Abby and DEVON feels like it's great that they can at least talk to each other honestly without fear of offending each other. Now, DEVON will suggest that, Abby can do the same thing with Chance as well. But when it comes to Nate is fighting him in every turn and is worrying that this is a sign of bigger problems. So lastly, we're back with Chance. He meets up with Kevin and learned that they indeed got DNA off the cigarette butt. But Victor's security guys has disappeared. Now, Kevin points out that they can't subpoena them to see if they're a match if they're nowhere to be found. Now, Kevin explains that there is a bloody print found inside the door handle of Ashland's car. Although it is Ashland's blood, it's going to be hard to match it since it's only partial. Now, the curious thing is that the car was a rental and would normally have a ton of prints. Instead, it was meticulously wiped clean. And then Kevin also notes that he had the techs go back and process the car again, which is when they made the whole bloody print discovery. Now, Chance and Kevin agree that, this strengthens the theory of another driver who had Ashland's blood on his hand when he transported the body. Kevin, however, wondered if Chance wants to devote the time and manpower to tracking down the missing security guards, which would give them the DNA and the prints. Or do you have enough to just take this case to the DA as it stands? Kevin asked. So, you know what? Hey, it looked like Chance is going to have to make some difficult choices as this case heats up. So we will have to stay tuned. Okay, so there you have it, your Young and the Restless recap for Thursday, August 18th, 2022. Stay tuned for the upload for The Bold and the Beautiful for August 18th. And until the next video, take a second to make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And please don't forget to like and share. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.